I recognize the Leader of His Majesty's Official Opposition.
Thank you, Speaker. This question is for the Premier. Speaker, this Premier is throwing taxpayers to the wolves, and he's howling about it. Yesterday, he chose to keep the tax on groceries. Today, he's choosing to leave taxpayers with a $5 billion bill to land luxury jets on Toronto's waterfront. Premier, nobody wants this, especially the people who live in Toronto. Why is this Premier taking $5 billion from the taxpayers' pockets instead of making life more affordable for people?
Minister of Transportation.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. As we've made clear, there are no taxpayer dollars going towards this project, but the Port Authority will continue and move forward with this modernization project because it makes sense for this province at a time when political leaders across this country are talking about nation-building projects, when they're talking about making Ontario more competitive, Toronto more competitive. Of course, you can count on the Leader of the Opposition to oppose progress and development in this province. There's not a single project, whether it's the Ontario line, whether it's the Scarborough subway extension, whether it's the Billy Bishop Airport, or building the road to the Ring of Fire, that member has opposed every single one of those investments. We're going to continue to build Ontario and develop Billy Bishop into a world-class airport.
Back to the Leader of the Opposition.
Oh, man. $5 billion. That is $900 out of the pocket of every single household in Ontario. Imagine that. But does the Premier care? Apparently not. He proved that when he spent $30 million on a luxury private jet. And now he wants private jets landing on the Toronto waterfront, and he is willing to spend $5 billion of your hard-earned money to make it happen. When is this Premier going to start putting money back in people's pockets instead of spending it on his lavish vanity projects?
Minister of Transportation.
Madam Speaker, let me repeat one more time. Not a single dollar from that $5 billion will be from the taxpayer or from Ontario taxpayers. But you know what? The truth is not something that that member of the Leader of the Opposition wants to hear. What we want to do is we want to build for the future. We want to build Billy Bishop. It's going to support over 23,000 construction jobs. It currently moves over 2 million passengers a year and supports 20 different cities. We want to connect more people to northern remote communities, which Billy Bishop will help let us do, Madam Speaker. But we've got a vision for this province, and that vision is to build the transportation infrastructure that we need to make Ontario more competitive, especially when we face threats south of the border, Madam Speaker, with tariffs. Ontario has to be more competitive, self-reliant. That's exactly what we are building towards with historic investments into Billy Bishop and across this province.
Back to the Leader of the Opposition.
Well, Speaker, we've heard this story a few times before, haven't we? And instead of investing in the things that could make a difference in people's lives, like health care or schools or housing or, my goodness, northern highways that are safe, right? This Premier is spending billions on luxury jets, filling in a lake so he can land them right there in downtown Toronto. He is spending your money on a project that nobody asked for. We could be opening hospital beds. We could be building housing. We could be hiring teachers, for goodness sake. But no, the Premier wants to land more fancy jets for his buddies. So when will the Premier start respecting the taxpayers' dollars?
Minister of Transportation.
Once again, Madam Speaker, not a single one of those dollars will be funded through the taxpayer. It's a private sector investment, Madam Speaker. The private sector, because it makes sense. Toronto is a world-class city. When you look at other cities across the world, whether it's New York, whether it's Houston, whether it's London, they all have 2 airports because it makes them that much more competitive. It allows more tourism, more business to be attracted into the city. But let's look at the record of the official opposition on projects in Ontario. The Ontario Line, a public transit project that is going to move 400,000 people. That's going to support the people in the Leader of the Opposition's riding. She opposes those investments, Madam Speaker. In fact, the NDP were holding funerals for trees to stop the Ontario Line project, Madam Speaker. That is unacceptable. That is why, Madam Speaker, we were elected on a mandate to build Ontario.
Response?
Transit, highways, supporting the modernization of Billy Bishop is going to create thousands and thousands of jobs in this province, and that is actually exactly what we are going to continue to move.
Question, the Leader of the Opposition.
Oh, Speaker, nobody out there believes this government anymore. I have been out on the doors in Scarborough this week, and I want to tell the Premier what people there are talking about and what real working people are concerned about right now, because he doesn't seem to get it. They've told me about their concerns about wait times in emergency rooms. They've been talking about finding a family doctor and how difficult that continues to be. The need to hire more healthcare workers, transit that would actually get people to work and family on time. What they are not worried about, Speaker, is whether the Premier can land luxury jets on Toronto's waterfront. Not on the radar at all. So how can this Premier be so out of touch with everyday families?
Minister of Transportation.
Madam Speaker, we've spent a lot of time in Scarborough, and guess what? That Leader of the Opposition lost her own deputy leader from Scarborough because she's ignored the residents of Scarborough, Madam Speaker. You know why? Because we came forward with a historic investment for the people of Scarborough in the Scarborough subway extension, a project that will move 100,000 people every single day. That Leader of the Opposition forced her deputy leader to vote against that project every single time, even though the people of Scarborough were denied access to rapid transit for 15 years under the previous Liberal government. They were ignored, Madam Speaker, whether it's hospitals or transit, this government delivering for the people of Scarborough, and that is what we're going to continue to do. We're making historic paces on the development of the Scarborough subway extension. The stations are moving forward in construction right now. We've got the tunnel boring machine over 50% complete on that Scarborough subway extension because we are committed to the people of Scarborough, and we are going to build for Scarborough.
Leader of the Opposition.
Well, Speaker, I'm going to go back to the Premier again, but I mean, my goodness, this subway extension, if it ever happens, it's been delayed again. The people of Scarborough aren't going to see that now until like the 2030s. Give me a break. Once again, we have a Premier who is just looking out for the wealthy. His wealthy friends who want to land their luxury jets at the Toronto waterfront. That's what this is all about. Maybe he's hoping to get a ride on one since he had to return his. Maybe. He seems to be more worried about his frequent flyer miles than he is about helping parents who are looking for more support for their kids in classrooms, Speaker. So back to the Premier. Can the Premier explain why landing jets downtown is more important than the needs of the people of Ontario?
Minister of Transportation.
Madam Speaker, we have an ambitious capital plan to build across this province. And in fact, since 2018, we've invested over $9 billion into the City of Toronto to ensure it becomes a world-class city. Billy Bishop is a key cornerstone to that progress, Madam Speaker. It's not just an important asset for the City of Toronto or the province of Ontario. It's for the entire country, Madam Speaker. When we look across this country, when we look at other countries, they're trying to build a more competitive, more self-reliant economy. That is exactly what the Premier and our government have been focused on since the tariffs south of the border. Here's a project. Billy Bishop right now supports over 4,900 direct jobs in this city, Madam Speaker. We're going to continue to build that asset so it can support not only 23,000 construction jobs that will occur because of the modernization and redevelopment, but because of the expansion of this project. These are common sense projects that we need to move to continue to build Ontario, build this province.
Leader of the Opposition.
I'll tell you one thing the people of Ontario know is that this government never spends $5 billion on anything that doesn't directly benefit their friends, their family. The wealthiest Ontarians get anything they want, right? They get a luxury airport in downtown Toronto that nobody else needs or asks for. $5 billion may not seem a lot to this government, but for most people, it's unimaginable. It's unimaginable. People want hospitals. They want hospitals. They want smaller class sizes for their kids, right? It is a choice that this government is making, and it makes no sense. $5 billion could build 14,000 affordable homes for people in this province. But instead, You're choosing to build a runway on a lake in downtown Toronto. I want to ask the Premier one more time to stand up and explain to us, why is this government so obsessed with jets landing on Lake Ontario that they are building housing in the province?